Please welcome your sketch artist, Hannah Laughlin.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Animation Academy here at the International Festival of the Arts at Epcot. My name is Hannah Laughlin, and I am super excited to be the artist helping you out today. So before we jump in and get started, just a little bit about me. As I said, my name is Hannah Laughlin, and I am a creative concept artist and illustrator for Disney Live Entertainment here at Walt Disney World. So that means that I get to work on all the concept art, illustration, fine art that goes into bringing our shows to life. I also partner a lot with Walt Disney Imagineering, so for the last couple of years I've been working a lot on the resort artwork. One of my most favorite recent projects was getting to do all the artwork for the Mary Poppins room retheming at the Grand Floridian Resort. So Mary Poppins is my favorite character, so that was definitely a dream project for me. With all that being said, who's excited to draw? Yeah. At the top of this, or the bottom of this circle, the top of the oval, and it's gonna curve all the way down right next to that rainbow shape that we drew. And this one's a little bit more straight. It's got a little bit of a curve to it, but it's definitely not as curved as some of the other lines that we've drawn. And if it's helpful to you, it doesn't have to exactly match up with mine. As long as you're in the ballpark, the next step we're gonna be adding the little feet. So just make sure it's close enough to where if you put a little foot in there, you'll be able to add it just fine. And don't forget too, if you are, if you accidentally do it a little too wide, something like that, you can always go back over the top. That's why we're drawing lightly. Sometimes it's kind of fun to see those stray lines. I like seeing that in art. It just shows the artist's process. Okay, so next up, we're gonna be adding the feet. These are really simple, just gonna be a teardrop shape. But this one is a kind of sideways teardrop shape, pointing towards those two parentheses that we just drew. So it's kind of like a little raindrop on its side, right like that. How's everybody feeling so far? I heard a couple screams, one horrible. That's okay. It's all about the process, right? Gotta trust the process. The face is my favorite part, so that'll be super cute. We'll jump up there next. And for our next shape, we're gonna be adding in another one of those teardrop shapes, but this one's gonna be facing downward. It's gonna be the right foot, right here. Like I said, Orange Bird's got a lot of character, so he's kind of leaping for joy. It's gonna be this downward facing raindrop shape. All right, so we're pretty good about blocking in the body with some basic shapes. I think we're ready to jump back up and work on some of those facial features. So to start with the face, I always like to start with what we call a center line when you're doing character art, and that is really what it sounds like. It's the center of a character's face. You also use this when you're drawing a human portrait, right? So you know where the center is. But Orange Bird is looking a little bit to the side. We go ahead and kind of revisit our reference right here. So he's not looking quite straight on. He's turned a little bit. And so to achieve that effect, we are gonna do a center line that's like one of those giant parentheses that comes all the way from the very top to the bottom of the circle. Just one big curved line. You can think of it like that left-hand side parentheses that we see over and over again. And we're gonna add another one of these parentheses to kind of show the midline, the horizontal line on the face. And this one is gonna be like an upside down rainbow that goes from left to right. So we did that curved line from top to bottom, now from left to right. And this helps give the illusion that the character is a sphere. And it also just helps give us direction and where to put some of those features. So next up for the nose, I'm gonna be placing it right where these two lines that we just drew cross. And this is gonna be starting with a circle. Again, a lot of these lines don't necessarily make it to the final, they're just guidelines. So this is about the size of a dime on that cross lines on our baseball. And I also like to block in the eyes. For the eyes, they're pretty straightforward, just an oval shape. We're gonna be putting one to the left of the circle and one to the right. So the first one to the left is gonna start kind of right in this quadrant right here. Just gonna be a nice oval shape. Orange Bird is so cute. He has really like childlike proportions, so be sure to give him nice big eyes. And the next eye is gonna be the same thing, but just a little bit bigger because it's a little bit closer to us on the sphere. So we're gonna do another oval, slightly bigger. And you've noticed I'm kind of following this shape, this curved line, using that center line as my guide so that it feels like these ovals are resting on that sphere. And once you have this general eye shape in, we can go ahead and add in the pupils of the eye. And you can really have characters looking whatever direction you want, as long as the pupils are on the same side, otherwise it looks a little kooky. So for me, I'm gonna be having Orange Bird look up. He's really sweet, and also he's a little guy, so he probably looks up a lot. So I'm gonna put the 2 pupils in the upper right-hand side of these ovals, and these are just smaller ovals within that. It's also nice wherever you're having Orange Bird look to have the pupils touch the side of that first oval that you drew. Otherwise, he might look a little nervous if he's a little wide-eyed. Right. Next up, we are going to be adding in some of Orange Bird's arms, and he actually has leaves for arms because he's a little orange canary, which is so cute. For this, we're going to start with an S curve and a couple of those parentheses shape. So, for the S curve, I'll go ahead and draw off to the side just so you guys can see what the shape is going to look like. You can do one off to the side if you want to practice, but don't feel like you need to. We're going to be doing, for the S curve, it doesn't look like the letter S, it's just kind of a soft curve. We're going to be doing that shallow rainbow shape directly followed by a shallow U shape. So like I said, this is just practice over here, but that's going to be kind of what it looks like. And I'm going to start that. Before I do my S curve, I'm going to want to know where that S curve is going to go. So I'm going to start with just one big shallow rainbow shape, one big parentheses curve, starting at the base of Orange Bird's neck and coming out to the side. You can really make the leaves as big as you want. They come, if you're a measuring person, they come a little bit past where his head ends. So this is one big rainbow or one big parentheses. And the next one is kind of tucked behind Orange Bird to show a little bit of dimension. So for this next one, if you want, you can do what we call drawing through. So you can just draw through the shape, or right where the circle ends, you can go ahead and just pick up. I'll darken this area. And it's going to be another one of those shapes, but just a little bit smaller and kind of tucked behind Orange Bird's head. So this is his head in front. This is going to be tucked behind. So they're kind of little wings that also double as his arms. And now that we have that established, we can go back to revisiting this S-curve shape. And whether you start from the inside or outside, it's up to you. But we're going to do that rainbow followed by the U shape. And it's going to come all the way back to meet his little body. And as you go, like I said, we're still drawing really lightly, but if you have a line that you really like and you're like, I'm so confident about this line, especially as you start to see the whole picture, you can go ahead and darken as you go along if you'd like. And for the right-hand side, we're gonna do the same thing, but a lot of characters are mirrored. So that means we're gonna start with that U shape first, and then go into the rainbow shape. This is also, if you've ever drawn like a little yin-yang symbol, it's going to be kind of that in-between line. You can also think about it if you start your infinity signs that way. It's also that kind of similar motion is what we call the S-curve. And that S-curve was great practice because for the next step on the beak, we're going to be doing the same thing but in miniature, which is fitting because he's so cute. We're going to be adding in another S-curve, but this one is going to be splitting the top half of his beak. So I'll go ahead and show what that's going to look like. So this line right here is that S-curve we're talking about. We're going to start on the left-hand side, do the rainbow shape till about the center line, and then the shallow U shape right next to it. And now's a good time to kind of start to darken in some of those favorite lines now that we have our guidelines and we're going kind of into the final art. And next up, we're going to be drawing a line that darkens this center line. So the one that comes straight down through that circle, just the bottom half, you can go ahead and dark that in. So it makes kind of like a really fancy curvy T shape. The top of the T being really swirly. So we're having that line come straight down. And then next up, there's going to be a line that connects the bottom of this T to the right-hand side of that S-curve. Just a straight line like that. So to recap, we did our S-curve, the line that follows that center line, and then there's going to be a straight line that goes from this bottom, where it crosses, the circle crosses, up to where that S-curve ends. And now you can really just start to darken some of those lines. So that bottom part of the circle. And then if you really want to be fancy, there's also a little bit of a horizontal line from the left-hand side of the S-curve that shows a little bit dimension at that top beak. So pat yourself on the back. This is probably the trickiest part of the drawing, is the beak. It always helps to break it down. And we are nearing towards the end of Orange Bird. He is still missing something. Does anybody know what it is? Yes, someone did this, perfect. Yeah, the little leaves at the top, his cute little hair leaves, whatever it is up there. We're gonna be doing just a basic leaf shape for this. And again, I'll show it to you this side, but it's basically gonna be a left hand parentheses followed by a right hand parentheses. So just a little peaked shape. But this, because he's kind of looking up a little bit, is not gonna be quite on our center line. It's gonna be to the right of that, kind of in between the two lines. I'm gonna have one of the leaves come straight up like that. And the other is gonna be more horizontal, kind of on its side, like that. So as you're finishing up those leaf shape, now is a great time to go back, start to darken your favorite lines. And if you want to, you can also do a little bit of shading. I'll show you a few tricks to do that. I like to give the eyes a little bit of dimension, so you can either shade them all in really dark, or I like to do a little bit of a highlight. For the highlight, you're just gonna start with drawing a little tiny oval towards the top of the character's eyes. And this is kind of an approach you can use for any character. So I'll show you this, and it'll be a fun tip if you do any more animation classes. You're gonna be doing the circle at the top of the eyes. And then when it comes to darkening, I like to do a little bit of a gradient. So when you shade, it just means you press down with your pencil and move it back and forth to kind of get some darkness in there. And then I like to lighten that shading as it goes towards the base of the pupil, because I found that gives even more dimension. So I'm just darkening towards the top and then lightening as I come down. You can also take the opportunity, if you'd like, to kind of darken the inside of Orange Bird's little beak. The inside is going to be this kind of triangle shape on the bottom, and this little semicircle tucked under the beak. And you can really shade in wherever you want. If you want to do a little bit of the leaves, just have fun with it, make it your own. You can kind of decorate it if you love Orange Bird. I love Orange Bird, so I'm going to give him a little hearts. He is so sweet. So have fun, go back. You know, if there's anything you missed, kind of darken your favorite lines. And as you finish up, that is Orange Bird. We do have a few minutes, so I think I should have time to answer one or two questions. But before we do that, my favorite part, I always love to see the drawings. Before I come around though, don't forget, the most important part of the drawing is to show the world what you did here today. So you can go ahead and sign your drawing. Hannah Laughlin, in the bottom corner. Don't put Hannah Laughlin though, or I'll steal it, claim it as my own. So as I said, finish up, and when you're feeling good, you can go ahead and darken all those lines. And if it's okay with you guys, I would love to see what you did, if you wouldn't mind showing when you feel ready. Oh, I see one, he's brave, first one. Oh, you guys, these are so cute. Yeah, I love it. Good job, guys. Are you guys okay if I take a selfie?